Welcome into the roundtable. I'm Brad Wakai. That is my co-host Tyson Gentry. We are back with another edition of the NFL Draft Dive today. As Tyson, we are getting closer and closer to the NFL Draft, man. It's right around the corner.
Can you feel it? Can you feel it a little bit? All these pro day news. We got people showing up, going different places. The NFL takes a break during March Madness, which we appreciate because they don't show the same love to any other sporting event. But it's a nice little lull here, and I want to tell people this lull, and as bored as you feel right now, it's so much better than post-draft pre-camp where we actually don't have anything going on.
100%. And I can feel it because I had a text today from one of my friends, and he's hoping that he's a Giants fan. He wants the Giants to now draft Jackson Smith and Jigba. He's like, yo, do you have a stream for the Ohio State Pro Day today? Because I want to watch my new number one receiver. I'm like, no, I don't care enough about that.
4.53 unofficial. That's a good time for JSN after those elite numbers. But pro days don't matter one iota, dude. Like, it doesn't matter at all. Bryce Young shows up, weighs in at the combine, and then he's not going to weigh in tomorrow and do all the drills. It's like, what do we, Sean Tucker's not doing the pro day either, and I just want to get out ahead of that because that makes me so irrationally upset.
That's your boy, man. Unfortunately, I don't think he's doing himself any favors, but we will see. We're going to have a ton more draft stuff to talk about as prospects kind of finalize everything. If you missed our first one that we did, we put out our big board for a lot of the positions, our top 5 at each position heading in after the combine. That could potentially be updated. Tyson and I will figure out our schedule.
Oh, mine's got to get updated, man. I've totally spaced Sam Laporta even existed when we did tight ends,
and I got it. I think I'm moving around these receivers. I think I am too. So that'll be coming, and we could do something regarding that. But right now, we want to keep chugging along in our NFL Draft Dive as we are now teams 13 through 16, and we were getting nervous here, Tyson, because 2 teams in this were potentially being discussed about a trade for a quarterback, one of the all-time greats, and it looks like the Jets are going to be going after Aaron Rodgers. As Aaron Rodgers said in the Pat McAfee show, he wants to be a New York Jet. So is this pick and trade here at 13? I personally don't think so. Now, a lot of people are saying, Aaron Rodgers, first-round pick, you got to trade it up. You got to give that up. I actually don't think that's the case here. Let's start there before we talk about the prospects of the draft. Like, do you think this is in play that potential will be moved to the Packers for Aaron Rodgers?
Oh, absolutely not. Or the deal would have been done by now if 13 was in play 100% because the Packers take that and run 10 times out of 10. Like, you're off in 2025 and you can see maybe a dip in value there and they try to get a 25 first or something. But this is a second and a third and a fourth or whatever. Like, what happened to Russell Wilson and what happened to the Denver Broncos a year ago is still fresh in people's minds. Nobody's lining up to be like, yeah, no, we'll mortgage the future.
Deshaun Watson as well. Like, that was a big thing. And so, the Jets are kind of in on that. Right. We only said that. Cap space as of now, this is minus 260,000. So, kind of middle of the road here, 21st most available. Now that's going to be updated as these cap numbers and cuts have gone into effect here. But that's just what I have from overthecap.com. Coach Robert Saleh, obviously, him and the general manager here, Joe Douglas, they're going to have to start winning here pretty soon, I think, Tyson. So the quarterback is a question mark, and I think that's one of the reasons why they are in major play for Aaron Rodgers. Now, in addition to this 13th pick, they also have the 43rd, which they actually traded away, now that I think about it, Tyson, in the Elijah Moore deal. They got back the 74th pick in the 3rd round from the Browns. So, giving up their I'm sorry. So the Browns are giving up their 42nd. The Jets have that and their 43rd, and getting the Jets are trading their 74th. So moving up, potentially more draft capital for the Aaron Rodgers trade potentially. Team needs obviously quarterback, offensive line, linebacker, safety. I don't know if you have anything different in those regards where you think the Jets have a weak spot.
Well, maybe it's a case of I'm reading too much into things, or maybe it's a case of like we know Joe Douglas a little bit better than most people know Joe Douglas, just because being Eagles fans and things like that, you kind of get a glimpse into his draft strategy. I think if Nolan Smith's on the board at 13, like, the defense is awesome, and we knew the defense is awesome. Carl Lawson is not long for playing for the New York Jets anymore. It'll be interesting. Like, they're losing guys after the season. in an awkward phase right now because they want to compete, but they're also pretty young. And some of their elite players are young. I think you can't go receiver here. I think that's what one of the second round picks is probably for. That's a Josh Downs spot or something like that. But to me, like if there is an explosive edge rusher here, you got to take it. I mean, you've tried so hard at offensive tackle that does Paris Johnson or does Peter Skoronski or whoever's left there, Broderick Jones. Do they really make sense based on the capital you've already put in? Maybe. But to me, like if I know Saleh and I know Joe Douglas, I think this is going to try to be let's hit a home run.
I can see that here at 13 for sure. And I think for me, what makes most sense to them, honestly, is an offensive lineman. To be completely honest with you, I mean, there's questions about Mekhi Becton. We really don't know. Like when he's healthy, he's really good, but the health hasn't been there.
Yeah, we think
he's really good. So I don't think this would be a reach here for them to take an offensive lineman. To be completely honest, we've seen that the best offensive lines in this league are winning games. The Chiefs last year, the Eagles last year, two great offensive lines, both in the Super Bowl. So I think that's very important for the Jets and what they want to build, whether it's around Aaron Rodgers to have immediate success or not. Beyond that, though, Tyson, I'm looking, and you sent me something yesterday. It's from Walter Football and the team or the prospects that they've met with. John Michael Schmitz, a center from Minnesota, who's really good, but that's a reach here at this spot.
Yeah,
a defensive tackle from Michigan, that's a reach, and then Brian Branch from Alabama. That's the only person on this list who they've met with that I can see being a spot here. I still think that's even too high here at 13.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, if this Aaron Rodgers thing gets pushed to the draft, right, and the deal's not done, and Will Levis is on the board, what do you do? Do you just say like we're all in on Aaron Rodgers, or you just re-roll and just say, well, that didn't work. We're going to keep our capital and we're going to get a new guy on a 5-year contract. And Will Levis might suck. There is no doubt that he will be better than Zach Wilson.
Yeah, but the problem is the Jets clearly can't evaluate the quarterback position, and it doesn't matter who's there. Like they're bad at it, and I think that's why I think you just have to go all in on Rodgers. And I saw Andrew Brandt said, he thinks the Jets are eventually going to cave in this thing. I don't even know if this is really a standoff between the front offices. I think they're just trying to work things out here and figure out what works best for both.
Got to be like a money thing.
It's got to be, and it's not like hey, we have all the leverage here. It's like Rodgers clearly wants out. The Jets know that, and the Packers know that. I think they're just both trying to figure out how can we get this guy to move over to the team. Nobody's trying to stronghold anybody. Now, that's just my sense. I don't have any sources on that, but I think they have to go all in for Rodgers, to be completely honest with you, Tyson. They're bad at evaluating the quarterback. I think they can't dip into the draft here again and try to sell their fan base on, no, this time this is the guy, after doing that with Darnold and then Zach Wilson, and both flamed out.
It would be pretty electric if Aaron Rodgers got Alan Lazard paid and then just didn't come.
Oh my God, that would be
nuts, that man $40 million and it just didn't show up. That'd be ideal. That's an all-time friend move.
Yeah, 100%. And so we'll keep an eye on the Jets. Now, I think there's potential that they could potentially trade out of this as well. I would not be shocked about that. If somebody wants to go up and be aggressive, if somebody does happen to fall that a team is in love with, don't be shocked if they do something on those regards and then trade back and accumulate more assets. The next pick here, Tyson, the New England Patriots at 14. They're in a very interesting spot, in my opinion. Tried to bridge the gap between Brady and Belichick by massively spending in free agency. They rectified that situation a bit by having 32.4 available on cap space. At the time, that was the 7th most available in the league. Mac Jones, it feels like they've committed to him, obviously hiring Bill O'Brien to be the offensive coordinator. They're getting serious at that spot, unlike when they had Patricia last year. Besides this 14th, besides this draft pick, that 14, they got the 46th and 76th in the first 3 rounds. I think there's what I evaluated for them, what they need. Offensive line. Now they've filled that a little bit in free agency, if not a lot, to be completely honest. But wide receiver is a main thing they need. And I think linebackers are something that Bill Belichick covets, and I think that's something that they'll target.
Dan Jeremiah he mocked Bijan Robinson to the Patriots at 14. That to me makes no sense. It doesn't mean that he's wrong. He could easily be right. He has, insiders and he knows guys and knows the way these things work. Bill Belichick doesn't talk about running backs the way that he talked about Ramondre Stevenson. So to go with Bijan at 14, and I'm the guy that's telling everybody he's going earlier than you think. He's going earlier than you think. I can't see it to New England with the holes that this team has. One that is interesting, Brad, and here's a name that I haven't seen floated too much to New England, but to me makes a ton of sense. You think Dalton Kincaid to the Patriots at 14 would be out of the realm of possibility, out of the question?
I don't. We know the premium that Bill Belichick puts on tight ends, and Jonnu Smith didn't work there, and so they shipped them. And Dalton Kincaid is kind of like that Aaron Hernandez Gronkowski pair with Hayden Hurst, who not Hayden Hurst, I'm sorry, Hunter Henry, who really came on late in the season last year. And I think if you had a young Dalton Kincaid, who's really the more of the receiving tight end, I think that could help Mac Jones a lot.
And you have to try to help Mac, because I'm of the opinion that this guy sucks. I thought when Mac got drafted, that was as good as Mac's ever going to be. And I don't think I haven't seen anything to move me off my spot when it comes to that take. But he's been surrounded by trash. Like, Jacoby Myers is the best receiver he's played with. Jacoby Myers just got $17 million in free agency or whatever. Like, there are guys making much more money than he is, and I just think that you'd be doing him a little bit of a disservice. Granted, we know what's going to happen is Bill will probably trade back, and he'll probably take like a white corner from a D3 school that nobody's ever heard of. We're going to pretend this is what we do with the Patriots every year. We pretend their first or second picks are good players, and we were wrong. The Patriots knew all along, and then those guys stink.
Yep.
And then the draft is saved by rounds 5, 6, 7, and your undrafted guys. And then we go, well, they did all right for themselves. They are one of the worst organizations in all of pro sports as far as drafting at the top. They're amazing everywhere else, and they're obviously really well run. And the Patriots have their shit together. That's not like breaking news or anything, but they're gonna burn the pit. Like, whoever they pick, I'm pretty confident here that it's not going to be the right one.
Yeah, we've been saying that for a while here on this show, that the Patriots are bad drafters. And everybody's like, what? What do you mean? It's like, no, what they're really good at is evaluating the talent in the league. Like, They rarely miss when they get free agents or when they let people go to other teams as well. Let's not forget that.
And then bring them back.
And bring them back on a cheaper deal, and they know their role, and they're the best at it. That's what they do well. They're not good at drafting in these positions. So I think if you are the Patriots, why would you not trade back? They haven't met with a ton of people through this pro day, combine, all that type of meetings to evaluate or meet with these prospects. At least that's somebody that you would take at 14 from the list I'm looking at here from Walter Football. What that suggests to me is there's not anybody that they love here at 14. They're probably in prime position to trade back. Now, if somebody falls to them, I don't really know who would be falling. That's like a can't miss that would fit what the Patriots are looking for here at 14. But I mean, maybe they go with the Kincaid. Maybe they target one of these great tight ends. Michael Mayer, does he not feel like a Patriot to you?
He does, like man. He really does. But it just feels like, I don't know, the community turned on him. For some reason, like the 2 years that we had a film of Michael Mayer doing the same thing every time, is number one tight end in the class from high school. And then he gets to the pros, the combine, looks the exact same as he looked at Notre Dame. And now people are like, I don't know about Michael Mayer.
I've been seeing some kind of reversal on that, though. People are back in on him.
I don't know why you got out. Like, he does what he does, man. Jackson Smith and Jigba would be, I think, ideal here for if you're the Patriots. Bill's going to take Quentin Johnston. Like, if QJ's on the board, and if both those guys are on the board, they'll take Quentin Johnston. But I mean, I hate doing mock stuff for the Patriots. This is like, we tell you guys you can bet draft stuff and you can make good money. Stay away from New England, because it's just like, look, we're college football sickos, and we've barely heard of some of the guys that are going in the first 2 rounds of New England.
Yeah, 100%. So we will keep an eye on it. And honestly, if we don't, who knows what the Patriots are going to do? We can't predict that. That's like the hardest team to predict. We really have no idea what's going to happen. Now, 15. Now, here's what we know about the Packers. They like their draft picks. This is how, because they can't get for big free agents, this is how they continue to build their franchise and continue their success. So this is a team who we're going to have to keep an eye on to see what the Packers do. Defense, is that going to be addressed? Offense, if you presume that Aaron Rodgers will be traded and you go with Jordan Love, are you going to try to get him more weapons with the departure of Allen Lazard and others?
God, that'd be crazy, wouldn't it? They don't draft Aaron first-round wide receiver ever, and as soon as he's gone, they go get one of these guys.
I'm curious to see, because here on this Walter Football, Tyson, they've talked with damn near half the fucking people in this entire process here. I mean, Brian Branch, safety. You go Evan Hull, running back from Northwestern. Like, they've communicated with a ton of people. And obviously, it's not just for this pick here at 15. It's for the other picks they have. But I mean, listen, here's what Matt LaFleur in the front office is working with: $17.5 million cap space. So that's 11th most available. Aaron Rodgers, the quarterback for now. If not, they have Jordan Love. So they really don't have to worry about that. The 15th pick, the 45th, the 78th. Needs wide receivers, tight ends, an edge rusher, offensive line. I think by my standard, what I've looked at, Lazard's gone. I think Robert Tunyon's gone as well. And then Adrian Amos. Yeah, Tunyon's a Bear. That's right. And then Adrian Amos. I missed a report on that one, so I'm gonna have to look. But Tyson, I mean, is there anything that you can specifically see for the Packers here?
I mean, no, just because it feels like a weird transition period for the franchise. To me, getting Jordan Love a weapon makes a ton of sense, but drafting T. Higgins instead of trading up and taking Jordan Love made a ton of sense back then. Not taking A.J. Dillon in the second round when you had an established running back made a ton of sense. So they're tough too, man, when it comes to this kind of thing. I think you go get, hopefully, if you're them, you want like Paris Johnson or Skoronski or somebody that you can plug and play at tackle. And I know Bakhtiari is there, but Bakhtiari is kind of reaching that mythical level here where I just feel like the guy doesn't play anymore. We just talk about how good the dude is, and he's not really on the field to prove it, which through no fault of his own. You know, football's a tough game, and when you're 330 pounds, it can wear on you for sure. But to me, I think offensive tackle makes a ton of sense here. I would love if they took Michael Mayer. I think he makes a ton of sense for the way they play football. We kind of teased him in the last one, but he's just a souped up Bob Tunyon. That's what he is. Like, he's going to do the dirty work and the nitty gritty things, but he's also capable of catching 70 passes a season. He's capable of putting up 800 yards and 6 touchdowns, 10 touchdowns. Basically, a better version of Pat Fryermuth is what I see when I look at Michael Mayer. Athleticism is a little different because Muth is a bit of a freak in that regard, but Mayer plays really good football, and I think he fits the scheme and the way that they're going to try to play this year really well, because I don't see this spread offense 3 wide receiver thing with Jordan Love that people are floating around. I think this is like a let's let the feet kind of year. There's no expectations here. This is not the NFC Championship team. This is a team that just missed the playoffs that's moving off their quarterback.
Now, as far as the tight ends they've met with, Dalton Kincaid from Utah, Darnell Washington from Georgia. Now, here at 15, Washington's a major reach. Yeah. I think Kincaid might be an option for him here. There's a rumor here that there's only going to be 2 tight ends, if not 1 tight end, go in the first round, which kind of surprised me. It's a very deep class. But that surprised me, man. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I feel like some of these guys, specifically Kincaid and Michael Mayer, are blue chip prospects and talents that I'd love to have on my team. And then maybe that's the 2 that go, and then the rest you're like, we can push the second round. But just wanted to throw that out there for people, because we're talking about these tight ends, maybe here, maybe here. Apparently, people don't see it in the league that way. But it's early still.
They never do until it takes place. And that's kind of the thing, too, is like, you know, we're sitting here in our chairs critiquing NFL front offices, but there's a lot of guys in the first round every single year that are nothing, that you take off of hype and you take off of potential and all that stuff. And how many times, you know, do we get a Bruce Irvin story where it's like, this guy fell, but he was good? You know, those don't happen. We get Clelin Ferrell and we get Jonathan Abram 10 times more often. So anytime that you have the opportunity to add a good, solid football player to your team, you're just you're setting yourself back, because now you have to hit in the third round where you missed in the first.
A lot of things pop out to me on the list of players that they've met. A lot of secondary players: Brian Branch from Bama, Christian Gonzalez from Oregon, which I think could be a live play here. I would not be surprised if the Packers decide to draft Christian Gonzalez. I think this would be a perfect spot for him. Riley Moss from Iowa, you know, kind of similar area. I think he might be a day 2 guy, but I like Riley Moss a lot. Saw a lot of him at Iowa. Eli Ricks, Keely Ringo from the SEC. So some interesting ones, and your guys, Paris Johnson. So a lot of it's secondary guys, and then there's a lot of offensive linemen here. My guess, I think the Packers try to address the offensive line early. They try to get that done here. Let's see if we can find a staple left tackle to potentially pair with Jordan Love for the foreseeable future. Let's address secondary. Adrian Amos, he's still a free agent. Nobody signed him yet. Maybe they let him walk. Maybe they eventually bring him back if they don't find their guy they liked late in the draft. So my guess is they go offensive line here.
I think they'd be wise.
Now, the 16 team, last one in this draft, I have the Washington Commanders. Now, they have quite, I think, two routes that this team can take and this franchise can go. $16.2 million of cap space, 12th most available. Sam Howell, I have him as their quarterback. Now, I don't know if that's what they're going to do here, Tyson, but clearly they were high on him last year's draft. I thought he looked pretty good in the final start of the season. I'm not sure if that's good enough to get him starting. Now, I don't know if Heineke is going to come back to Washington. I don't know if
he's a Falcon,
him, man.
He's on
with the Falcons. Oh, yeah, right, there we go.
I think
I saw something about Heineke potentially coming back, and then I got into the March Madness hole. So that's
the poor guy got the raw end of the deal. How many guys suck and get 100 opportunities, and then this guy is fine and gets one.
16th pick, 47th pick in the first 3 rounds. Not a lot of assets here. Team needs offensive line, defensive backs, and a linebacker. Listen, Commanders, they can concede that the division is not going to be won this year. Giants made the playoffs. Cowboys made the playoffs. Eagles went to the Super Bowl. And say, hey, let's just rebuild this thing. Let's try to get as many draft picks as possible. Get as much built up through the draft as we can. Or they can say, hey, let's just go for it now and see what we have in place. I think they should do the first option, to be completely honest. Start the rookie Hal. Start trading off some of these pieces and just recouping and getting ready for the future.
This is one that doesn't make a ton of sense now, but I think it will come draft time. I think Broderick Jones here, to me, like getting a weapon sounds awesome. It sounds great, but we broke down the wide receivers. We're not in love with it. Really, I'm not in love with anybody besides Jackson Smith and Jigba in this class. It's too early for like Zay Flowers. I think it's too early for Quentin Johnston, to be honest with you. And then on the defensive line, because you'd love to talk yourself into like a Kalijah Kancey or something like that. But this is a team that has invested so heavily in the defensive line that I don't know if they'll do it again. So it's offensive tackle range here, man. I just think that if Broderick Jones, a guy who played the entire playoffs for Georgia in 2021 and then started all 15 games last year in 2022 is available, that's a guy that you want to look at. But this is an off-the-wall one, and it's something that I've been kicking around in my head, but Chase Young's not safe. He's not safe on the Washington Commanders. Yeah, I mean, we're waiting for, the promised one, the guy who was like his biggest, most viral moment, best moment in his career so far. It feels weird to phrase it that way, but it was tearing Joe Burrow's ACL. Like, that's the biggest play that this dude's made to this point in his career. He doesn't play. He's on the sidelines 6 weeks out of the season. At some point, it's like, hey, man, if we call somebody and they offer us 17 this year or whatever the package may be, you got to think about it. You have to.
Oh, if somebody offered me a first-round pick for Chase Young, I would not even hesitate to pull the trigger on that.
But he's better than both the Bosas combined. And look at what he did at Ohio State. But don't look at the numbers. Just check the film, right? Because he never puts up insane numbers. We're just supposed to believe that this dude is one day going to be the guy.
And that's the question mark I have. Here's what I'll say. Do not be shocked if Joey Porter Jr. is available here if he goes to the Commanders.
Yeah,
he fits the profile of what they're looking for there. A little toughness, man-to-man, can cover, and stick with the guy one-on-one. So I would not be shocked if that's their guy here at 16. If he's drafted before then and he's not available, that's where I think the front office has some questions they need to answer. Do we trade back? Do we try to recoup anything that we can? And
who's in the front office? Like if they get sold, then what is this whole thing? Because now we have the Dan Snyder's not going to pay the free agents until the deal's finalized, and everybody's hating on him for that. That makes perfect sense to me. Like, come on, you're going to get new tires on your car right before you sell it, like, or after you sell it? That doesn't make any sense. So I'm with that, but like, it is a dumpster fire of epic proportions, and it has been for a decade. But it's going to get worse come draft time. Because what if Dan Snyder just says, like, we're taking Saint Laporta, and you guys can't stop me. It's my last move. Fuck you. I'm out.
Well, I don't think anything that Dan Snyder does at this point would shock me. So
it's true. You think he hangs out with Dolan?
Probably. They're all rich
You think
guys.
They're boys? I think they probably, they run in the same circles, go to the same islands.
You think they're in the same band together?
I doubt it. I mean, if you heard some of Dolan's stuff, it's pretty next level.
He's an artsy guy, man. Yeah. Snyder doesn't he doesn't come off as an artsy guy. Like Dolan's just kind of out there, you know?
No, Snyder comes off with like a dipshit that somehow made all this money that just decided he gets to be a jerk. And, you can't be so dumb to have this much money, but you can have zero social awareness. And that's who this guy is. I think that there's a chance that Roger Goodell just rips the card up and makes whatever pick he wants for the Commanders at 16.
Just pulls a David Stern.
That'd be sick.
Yeah, and so we'll see. There's 3 big suitors now, if you haven't heard the news, potentially on buying the Washington Commanders. So, listen, I don't want to say anything crazy here, but I think if they could put the Washington Commanders drama behind them, the NFL and the other owners, Roger Goodell, would be for the best. It's a storied franchise, for God's sake. Somebody needs to come in and take care of it. Because where it is now, I mean, the apathy from the fans is just not good for the league. So
they're Indiana basketball, brother.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. It was UCLA basketball before Mick Cronin came in. Look how that changed. So we'll see. I mean, I'm rooting for the Commanders at least to get some sustainability, just not enough to beat the Eagles. So Tyson, that's
just like very clear. We just want you guys to win 7 games and be okay with that.
Beat the Cowboys and beat the Giants every once in a while. We'll take that. Maybe they could be the second team in the division. Cowboys and Giants are cellar dwellers.
You know what I want as an Eagles fan is I want the ability to hate the Commanders. Because my entire life, even when they were the Redskins, it was like, yeah, whatever. It's Jason.
Yeah, I know. That's what I say too.
RG3's going off. Yeah, that's cool. It doesn't matter. And I just want, like, I can hate Dallas. I can hate the Giants every 3 to 5 years. It's impossible to hate the Commanders.
It was nice hating the Giants last season.
It was good. I mean, over there in New York, I'm sure you were loving it.
Oh, it felt good, dude. I needed to hate something. All right, that's a draft dive. Next week, we'll be back with more teams to analyze. I can't believe how fast the draft's coming up, man. Almost already around the corner as it's coming up in April.
Oh, as soon as the Final Four is over, as soon as the Nets are cut down in the national championship game, it's on to the next thing, man.
Yep, that's how it goes. All right, we'll be back next week. Follow us on our social medias. Like, subscribe, and share the show. If you leave a comment, we will answer anything that you put in those comments. Really helps us out and helps us climb the charts on YouTube and our podcasting platform. So we got March Madness stuff coming later this week. And we also are going to be back talking more draft stuff. We will talk to you guys then. Peace.